Hare Krishna, Sarva-drk Prabhu.
Haribol.
Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
I accept mine, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay. So, quick introduction. His Grace Sarva-drk Prabhu is a disciple of Sri Prabhupada, staying in Mayapur Dham and preaching widely of Krishna consciousness. So, we are very fortunate to have him, his association today. We hear from him. Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you can begin.
Haribol.
Not able to hear you.
You're not able to hear me?
No. Now we can hear you. You can begin the class, Prabhu.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pastatare Shatar Hey Guru Gyanadadina Bandho Swanandadata Kurunaika Sindhu Vrindavana Sina Hitavatara Prasida Radha Pane Prachara Nama Shishtam Anumapi Sachi Putra Matra Sarupam Rupam Tasya Gujamuraparim Matarim Gushtavadim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurun Tamratosam Vande Nantad Bhuttashayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nichoki Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityananda Maham Nomi Sarvananda Karam Param Harinam Karam Devam Bhavatuta Sharon Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Vancha Kalpatripishta Kripa Sindhu Devacham Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. So first, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to speak to you. Today, we're going to have a look at Bhagavad Gita, chapters 1 through 3. This is a bit challenging because there's so much information in these chapters, especially chapter 2. And I want to go over important verses that are meaningful for our preaching mission, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. Because Srila Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita is a preacher's shastra. And if we listen to Prabhupada, as we should, we'll find that there isn't a single lecture where he didn't quote Bhagavad Gita. He quoted Bhagavad Gita extensively, and his whole presentation basically was Bhagavad Gita. So my thought process was to go through the prominent verses in these chapters in summary, and try and point out the necessity of understanding these particular verses. So with that in mind, we'll begin at the beginning. Beginning is Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra Samaveta Yutsavam Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva Kemakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, speaking to Sanjaya, says, Mamaka and Pandavas Chaiva, my sons. Mamaka means my sons. What did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? This is actually a rather foolish question. Prabhupada points out that if you put food before a hungry man, if you put delicious food in front of a hungry man and ask, what will he do? He's going to eat, of course. So there's an argument. Krishna tried to solve the problem. He is so kind, loving to his devotees that he even acted as a messenger. He went to the Kurus and said, just let's settle this. Why should there be loss of life? Why should there be a battle? Just give the Pandavas each a village and let's settle this up. And Duryodhana said, I won't even give them Suchagra, as much land as you can put a pin in. So he was completely resolute in his determination to usurp the whole kingdom. And this is Dhritarashtra's Mamaka. The whole battle of Kurukshetra occurred because of this consciousness that let my sons be the proprietor. And we see this in the world today, the whole conflict that's happening in the world today. Russia and Ukraine, Iran and Saudi Arabia, North Korea, South Korea, China, America. It's all based on this misconception that we're the proprietors. Everything is for me. So Dhritarashtra is saying, Mamaka. But he's destined to failure. Why? Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra. The Kurukshetra is Dharma Kshetra. And who is the dharmic side? The Pandavas. They're destined to win. Kauravas are destined to lose. But because of the modes of nature, they're unable to see their ultimate destruction. So Bhagavad Gita starts out this verse, this is a very significant verse. Even one word, Mamaka, my sons. This is the whole problem in the world today. Everything's about me, my interest, my prosperity, my land, my resources, and let us fight if you usurp my personal interest. So the whole battle of Kurukshetra was fought on this principle. So then Arjuna asked, Senayor Ubayor Madhya Stapayutam, that you please take my chariot between the two forces. They're poised for battle. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we should bring our mind to the scene. That on one side, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, and the Kauravas, other side, Pandavas, and they're poised, ready to start the battle. And Arjuna asked Krishna, bring my chariot between the two sides. Let me see who has come here to fight. And because he's Vaishnava, because he's pure devotee, he's not of the mindset, let me kill them and enjoy the kingdom. Rather, he says here in Bhagavad Gita, he says, O Govinda, of what avail to us her kingdom, happiness, or even life itself? But all those for whom we desire are now arrayed on this battlefield. O Madhusudana, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? See Arjuna's mentality, pure devotee. This is exact opposite of what we see going on in the world today. As we sit here peacefully in our ashrams, people are dying on the battlefield in Ukraine on this principle. I want to exploit, I want to own, I want to push out the so-called invaders. Everything is for me. This is, Krishna describes this in Bhagavad Gita as the demoniac mentality. Ishwaroham aham bhogi, siddhoham balavan sukhi. I am the controller. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. It's all about I, me, mine. So Arjuna is asking, bring me, let me see who's here. And then when he sees, he becomes very, very disturbed. How can I kill these people? Even if I win, how can I enjoy the kingdom that is tainted by the blood of my cousin brothers? Duryodhana isn't thinking like that. He's ready to slaughter all the Pandavas. See the difference in mentality. And then Arjuna makes some very strong arguments. He argues about the welfare of society. He said, especially about women. He said, Adharma bhavat Krishna pudushanti kulastriya strishu dushtashu varshnaya jayate varnashankara. If women are made into widows, they will become corrupt because there's no man to protect them. There's no man to provide for them, and they'll be exploited by unscrupulous men. And what will be the result? Varna Sankara. And that we see today also, very prominent, because women are not protected properly, because they are not trained to make good choices in their life, and men aren't trained to give proper protection, to provide for family, to provide for wife, to provide for children, because there's no proper training. But as a result, Varna Shankara. We see in our families, amazing children have come. I get the opportunity to travel a few times a year and visit different communities. And I'm astonished at the quality of the children that have come to our Vaishnava families, our ISKCON families. Little kids, they can hardly reach the end of the mridanga, but they're playing like a pro. They're singing Gaur Arati, Tulsi Arati, Nishinga Arati. They're Vaishnavas from birth, extraordinary children. And on the opposite side, what's happening in material society? Because they're like, hey, dude, what's going on? Want to buy some drugs? Going out and dating and using drugs and alcohol and wasting their lives and creating a disturbance. This is Varna Shankara, because women are not protected. So Arjuna made many strong arguments in this way, trying to convince Krishna of the need for him not to fight. And then, having made those arguments, he cast aside his bow, Gandiva, and told Krishna, I'll not fight. And then Krishna begins to preach to him. Tam tata kupaya vishtam asur purna collection vasidantam idam vasham uvacha madhusudana. Like, why are you crying? Arjuna, why are you crying? These are all material considerations. Why should your country is trying to encourage him? Your country, this is your duty is to fight. So why are these impurities come upon you? Kutastva Vishame, I'm forgetting the words. And he's saying, how are these impurities come upon you? Because this is his duty. His country, it's his duty to fight in the battlefield. Krishna is asking him, you're Nimitta Matra Bhava Sabhya Sachan, you're a Kshatriya, this is your duty. I'm asking you to do this because this is the reason, one of the reasons Krishna came to this world. Dharma Sanstapanartaya, to establish the principles of Dharma, which meant what? To establish Yudhishthira at the expense, and to Vinashaya to Dushkritam, to wipe out the black-hearted Kauravas that were so avaricious. They're ready to kill their own cousin brothers by deceit. They stole the kingdom. Shakuni, by cheating, gambling, stole the kingdom. They tried to kill the Pandavas in the House of Lac. They poisoned Bhima, threw his body in the Ganga. So much cheating went on. These people are meant to be annihilated to establish Yudhishthira. So some people ask, why is this whole battle? Why is Krishna encouraging Arjuna to fight? I thought we're like the peace-loved dove, the peaceful people. No, to establish Dharma Sanstapana. Krishna said, I've come for this, to establish Dharma, which means to establish Yudhishthira. So Krishna encouraged him. Klaibyama samaga partha naitam kayupapadite shudram durbala hridaya chaktotishta parantava. Get up, Arjuna. Go and fight. Give up this petty weakness of heart. And then Krishna, by his strong preaching to Arjuna, Arjuna surrenders. Karpanya doshopahasassya bhavas ichdhamitvam dharma samuda cheta yatshreyasan drihanishta tamne sishastiham sadhimam tvam prapanam. It says, now I'm a soul surrendered to you. I'm your disciple. Sishastiham sadhimam tvam prapanam. I'm your sishya, prapanam. I surrender to you. This is the turning point. And this is important in our life also, because life is full of complexities and perplexities. We become perplexed. What to do, how to live, to understand the principle, what is important in life, how to make the correct decisions, what is required. Sishastiham tvam prapannam. To act like a sishya, disciple, accept higher instruction, and to surrender. As Arjuna is surrendering, we should also surrender. This is the necessity of accepting Guru. Krishna is being accepted by Arjuna as Guru. I'm not making any more arguments with you. I understand I'm an illusion. I don't know what to do. Now I accept you as my Guru. So please instruct me. So we have to come to that stage in our life also. How to be surrendered and accept instruction from a higher authority. And Arjuna is chastised by Krishna. Asochanam vasochastam pragyavaram chabhasase gatasum agatasum chanam asochanti pandita. That you're speaking like a learned person. Because Arjuna is actually making good arguments. But they're fallacious arguments. Because they're not made from the point of view of spirituality, of what is the real source of what is reality. He's speaking good, sensitive, social, from the social perspective. I don't want to kill people. I want to be peaceful. I want to protect society. I want to protect womanhood. I want to see everything goes on. But Krishna says, no, you're speaking learned words, but you're actually a fool. So this is also the position of disciple. We should always feel, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Prakasananda Saraswati and all the Mayavadi sannyasis criticized Mahaprabhu, why are you not studying Vedanta? This is all nonsense, sentimentalism, this chanting and dancing. You should give up this and take up the real business of a sannyasi and study Vedanta. So Mahaprabhu answered, my spiritual master said I'm a fool. Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a fool? He's the most supreme learned person in creation, God himself, supreme learned person. But he accepted the position of a fool. And my guru said, you just chant this mantra. Sishastiham sadhimam tvam prapannam. To accept chastisement, to accept higher authority. A very important thing. And then Krishna begins to speak jnana, to instruct Arjuna, to bring him from illusion to reality, from the social point of view, from the compassionate, materially compassionate point of view, to reality. And what's the first thing he says? Dehinosmin yata dehi. Komaram jovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastattanamurti. What is that? Asmin dehi, you're not your body. You're thinking you're killing all these people. You're not killing them. Na jayate mete va kadachin, nayam buddha bhavitava nabhuya, ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano, na hanyate hanyamani sharire. For the soul, there's never birth nor death. For having one spin, does he ever cease to be? He is unborn, undying, primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Krishna is giving Arjuna a good strong dose of jnana so that he can understand what is the position of the soul, what is our position. And in this sense, Bhagavad Gita is so relevant. 5,000 years later, relevant in everyone's life. Sometimes people say, well, Bhagavad Gita was very good for Arjuna 5,000 years ago, but that was 5,000 years ago. Things have changed. Nothing has changed. Soul is the same, body is the same. We have the same body as for millennia. Same eyes, face, hands, legs, feet. We're in the same condition. Asmin dehe, we're souls entrapped within a body. So Bhagavad Gita is as relevant today as it was 5,000 years ago. And Prabhupada comments that the benefit that Arjuna received from Krishna hearing Bhagavad Gita is the same benefit that we can receive by reading Bhagavad Gita. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we're as good as Arjuna sitting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Lord gave many good advices. Matra sparshasta konteya sitoshna sukadukada agama painonitastam satiksha sabharata. The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and the disappearance in due course are like summer and winter seasons. One should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Why? Matra sparshas, sparsh consciousness, sensual consciousness is our disease, that we judge the positive and negative value of something simply based on how it feels. Say, oh, the summer, when the sun is out, bright, beautiful summer day, this is nice, but freezing cold winter, oh, very bad, very disturbing. Snow is there, it's difficult to drive, the ice all over the windshield, accidents are occurring, the sky is gray, where is the sun? This is all sensual consciousness, sparshas. Sitoshna sukadukada, Krishna gives the example. In winter and summer season, can you change them? Can you change happiness and distress? Happiness comes and distress comes. This is a world of duality. Dvandva mohena bharata. We live in a world of duality where because we want to enjoy, we're obliged to also suffer. Because we want the sunny day, we're obliged to also suffer the winter snow. This is the nature of this world. So Krishna's solution is what? Tamasa tikshasva bharata, titikshava. This is the quality of a Vaishnava. Titikshava korunika surada sarvadehinam ajata shattava shanta sadhava sadhubhushanam. Titikshava is a very important characteristic that we should develop as devotees. Tolerance. Because all the things in the world that give us the most trouble, we can't change. We can't change the weather. We can't change the behavior of other persons. We can't change the disturbance of our own mind and body. No one wants to get sick, but we get sick. No one wants to see war, but war happens. No one wants to see earthquake, tornadoes, floods, but they happen beyond our control. This is the nature of this world. So what is the solution? Krishna said, Tamasa tikshava bharata. So he gave this whole analytical study jnana, and then he goes into we're still second chapter, how to work without fruitive intention. And he told Arjuna, Neha Bikramana Susti, Pratyavayo Navidyate, Swalpamapyasya Dhamasya, Trayate Mahatobhaya. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path protects one from the most dangerous type of fear. What is that fear? To fall down into material life, to not get a human body. Because this human body is meant for self-realization. Nayam deha bhajam niloke kashtan kaman arhati vidbhujam ye. Tapo dibyam putrukayena saktam shudyat brahma sokyam dvanantam. Bhagavatam tells us, what is human life meant? What is the value of human life? The value of human life is that we can do little austerity and become self-realized and enjoy unlimited spiritual happiness. Material happiness comes and goes, it's destined. It comes and it goes. Srila Prabhupada explained that you can't get more in life than you're destined, and you can't get less. Whatever you're destined to get by your karma, by your previous life's activities, you will get. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana evatmakritam vipakam. Evatmakritam means we've created our own reality from our activities of our previous life. So we get a quotient, a certain quota of happiness and a quota of distress. We've created that. So we can't complain. We can't shake our fist at God and say, why have you done this to me? Why have you done that? Why have you created the world like this where there's suffering, where there's war and disease? Why do little kids get hit by cars? Why is this world so We've created it by our neglect of a relationship with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gave a nice example. He said, just like if you're facing the sun, you see no shadow. The shadow is behind you. If you turn your back to the sun, then you see the shadow. What is the cause of the shadow? It's turning your back to the sun. What is darkness? What is a shadow? Shadow means an absence of light. Darkness means an absence of light. So why do we see negative things? Why do we see all the horrible things of this material world? Because people have turned their back on God. They reject His plan, His arrangement for our well-being. This is a whole other discussion. But this principle we should understand very carefully. That whatever comes to us, we've created, so we tolerate and accept everything as Krishna's mercy. Then he takes Lord's taking a shot at Vedas, because Veda also contains not only spiritual information, but it also contains how to enjoy in the material world. And people get bewildered by that. So he says, Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschita vedavada rataparta nanyadastiti vadana kamatmana swarga para. That this Veda also contains pushpitam vacham, that how to get a good birth, how to go to heaven, how to enjoy sensual happiness, how to have a higher standard of material life. This is the flowery words of the Vedas, pushpitam vacham. But Krishna rejects that. And this isn't the real point of Veda. Veda means to give us some higher objective than just a higher standard of sense gratification. Next verse he says, Bogai swarja prasaktanam taya pavrita chetasam vyavasayat buddhi ekeha kurunanda. Anyway, Bogai swarja, he said, if we become entangled in boga, sense gratification, and aiswarja, material opulence, then the resolute determination of devotional service does not take place. Then famous verse comes, Kamandivadikara stema paleshu kadachana. That people are happy to quote this verse. That we just have to, they say, we just have to do our duty. Mahapaleshu kadachana, that part they neglect. You have a right to do your duty, but you're not entitled to fruits of action. Never to consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activity, and never be attached to not doing your duty. They just take the first part. We have to do our duty, as if doing your duty is the sum and substance of Bhagavad Gita. It is not. Foolish people propose that work is worship. This was proposed by some foolish so-called philosophers. I won't mention any names. But they say work is worship. Is work really worship? That the harder you work, the more you're worshiping God, is a foolish idea. A person who's thinking, I just have to make millions of dollars and I want to buy the mansion and the Mercedes-Benz and the jewelry for my wife and the nice clothes and the real estate and the swimming pool, and this is worship of God? Foolish man. Work is not worship unless it's offered to Krishna. Jagartat karmanonyacha lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam karma kuntaya mukta sangha samachara. Krishna says, tadartam. You work for me. If you don't work for me, then you're bound to this material world of birth and death over and over again, being born as a Brahmin, being born as a demigod, as a horse, a cow, a worm. Life after life, doing the same thing in different varieties of bodies. Why? Because we neglect the principle tadartam, to work for the satisfaction of the Lord. This is the whole principle of Varnashram Dharma, the whole principle of spiritual life. Srimad Bhagavatam says, what is that? I'm forgetting verse. Anyway, Bhagavatam explains that we have our dharma. Sunushthitasya dharmasya sansiddhir haritoshanam. Sunushthitasya dharma means our own particular dharma that we're born with. Everyone gets a different kind of body, a different kind of karma, a different kind of activity, work, dharma in this material world. What is the perfection of that? Sansiddhi. Sansiddhi, complete perfection, is what? To satisfy Govinda, to please Govinda. Sansiddhi haritoshanam, to please Hari, by your work, by your activity, by offering everything, your life for his satisfaction. Yat kuroshi yadashnasi yastahosi dadasi yat tapasasi kontaya mat kurushva manarpana. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do for what? Mat kurushva madarpanam, offer to me. Then we become free from the bondage of work. So this idea, karmanyavadhikarasti, just do your duty and this is spiritual life, it is not. Unless you're connected, your activity with Krishna. And in spiritual life, we do that. Devotee should think, because most of us are grihastas or will become grihastas. So a grihasta man should think, I'm not just working. This is work is worship because I'm making money to maintain my ashram, where my family gathers to worship the deity. I'm making money to pay rent at my ashram, for electricity for my ashram, for water for my ashram, for bhoga to offer to the deity. I'm making money to maintain and supply the necessities of Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, my wife and children. We spiritualize our activity in this way. It's not enough to say work is worship and anything I do is spiritual. It's only spiritual if it's tadartam karma konteya, tadartam karma, work done for the satisfaction of the Lord. So many people throw this verse around, famous verse, karmanyavadhikarasti, but they don't understand it. Do your duty, but not for personal gain. And this mentality is to be kicked out. Krishna says further on, Dharena yavaram karma buddhi yogam dhananjaya buddha sharanamandishcha kripana falahetava. But only a kripana, a miser, wants to enjoy the fruits of his work. And how to rid ourselves from this mentality? How to durena, how to cast it far away. Yavaram karma, abominable work. Buddhi yogam dhananjaya, oh Dhananjaya, Arjuna cast unfavorable, fruitive mentality, material mentality, greedy mentality, lusty mentality, material consciousness, how to throw it far away, Dorena? By bhakti, buddhi yogam, bhakti yogam, by taking up the process of devotional service. So then there's a discussion about who is actually a spiritualist. This is a very important thing, because in this world, if someone assumes the dress of a spiritualist or a sannyasi, it's assumed that he's a sannyasi by his dress. But the dress does not make the man. But we see this prominent in society. They grow their hair, big jata, big tilak, big tulsi mala, rudraksha mala, saffron cloth. Grow your beard also. Sadhu must have big beard also. Does that make one a sadhu? Anyone, if you don't shave, your beard grows. Does that make you a sadhu? It does not. The dress does not make the man. So Arjuna asked Krishna, what are the symptoms of a transcendentalist? How does he speak? How does he walk? What is his behavior? We understand a person by his symptoms. Or Srila Prabhupada would sometimes say, a fool is not revealed until he opens his mouth. What does he say? What does he speak? So some of these people, they're Moni Babas. They don't say, but they'll carry a chalkboard and a piece of chalk. Dal bachaye, give me some rice, give me some dal, give me some chapati, but they won't speak because they have nothing to say. We can speak 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, glorifying Krishna. We have so much to say about Krishna. These Moni Baba people, oh no, I don't speak. And they think they become self-realized, spiritualists, yogis, transcendentalists, because they don't speak, because they grow beard, wear rudraksha mala, put on saffron cloth. No, Krishna gave what is the actual definition. Arjuna asked him, who is a transcendentalist? How does he speak? How does he walk? Krishna said, Prajahati yada kaman, sarvan partha manogatan, atmaneva manatushta, stita pragyastadocite. Person who is actually transcendental. What is his nature? Prajahati yada, he's kicked out lust, which is manogatan, based on mental concoction. He fully understands that lust lives in the mind, along with greed and envy and fear and anger and malice. All those inauspicious things live in our mind, but a transcendentalist knows this is manogatan, this is all mental concoction. So he kicks it out. This is a transcendentalist, not someone who just dresses like a spiritualist. And then he gives good information, moving on. Krishna gives good information about how to leave. He's a Dharena, he can leave this by bhakti yoga, but he gives some practical advice also. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishta nivartate. Our natural tendency is to seek out that which is most pleasing. If you go to the Sunday feast, for example, and there's a plate of Sunday feast prasadam from the previous week, and there's a plate of Sunday feast prasadam that was prepared an hour ago, what will you choose? Will you eat the old stale food? It's prasadam, it's sanctified food, but it's a week old. What will you choose? We choose that which is pleasing to us. That is the nature of the world. That's the nature of the self. We want the highest pleasure, the highest arrangement. So we can give up the lower pleasure when we taste the higher pleasure. We can param drishta. We get higher consciousness, higher perspective in life. This is a very important thing to understand. Because if we're not getting that, we'll be drawn to material pleasure. We want the highest thing, but the highest thing is what? Krishna bhakti, the happiness of Krishna consciousness. But that's not easily available. Can you pick it off a tree? Can you log into Amazon.in and order a double helping of spiritual happiness? Is it on sale special at the bazaar, at the mall? 2 for 1, spiritual happiness. Can you order a kg of spiritual happiness? We get it by sincere activity in Krishna consciousness, and sometimes we have to wait for it. This is the nature of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means we have to come through, we have to pass through anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti is the stage of struggle where we deal with our attachments. We deal with lust, we deal with greed and envy, anger, all the negative things that afflict us in this world. But how to become free? How to cross over that? By hearing. This is a secret, open secret. It's a secret. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Yadamuttamam, Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dhamyam, Susukam Kartamadim. Krishna says, 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. This is open secret, Raja Guyam. How to become free from our material attachments, the things that cause us to suffer in this material world, the things that make us unhappy, that we're actually attached. We're very foolish. We're attached to those things that make us suffer. So how to become free? By hearing. Shrindatam swakata Krishna punya shavana kirtana vidyantasto yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. It's by hearing. Hearing itself is in itself pious activity. And what is the effect? Vidunoti, it cleanses our heart of abhadrani. Abhadrani means those inauspicious things that cause us trouble, the lust, the greed, the anger, the envy, that make us suffer in this world. How to become free? By hearing, by pouring harikatamritam, pouring that nectar in our ear. Tabakatamritam tapta jivanam kavi viriditam kalmasapaham bhuvanamangala shravanatatam bhuviganantiye buddhijajana. What is the remedy for people that are suffering in this world? suffering the result of our own karma. That's our situation. How to become free? Tava katamritam, tapta jivanam. Tapta jivanam means those persons who are suffering in this material world. That's you and me. How do we taste nectar? Through the ear. Everybody wants to see God, right? They want to see God with their eyes. Show him to me. But can you see him? Are you qualified to see him? Can you even walk into the office of an insignificant mayor's office? Can you walk into Prime Minister Narendra Modi's office? Hey, Narendra, come on, you and me. Let's go for masala dosa. Now, they'll shoot you if you try and storm his office. You can't even make it an appointment to see him. And he's a powerful, pious man, no doubt. But he's a man. So what to speak of being able to see God? How do we see God? Through our ear. We become happy. We become self-realized. We become satisfied in life by pouring tavakatamritam, the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, the nectar of his activities, his beauty, his form, his mercy, his kindness, his power, his holy name especially. When we pour that in our ear, we become self-realized and we overcome all these other things, all these other inauspicious things. They give us trouble. Bhakti upadhyate pumsa shoka moha bhayapaha, Bhagavatam says. That by hearing shoka moha bhayapaha, we become free from shoka, lamentation, moha, illusion, fear, bhaya. How? And bhakti upadhyate pumsa, and bhakti arises in our heart just by hearing. Hearing is very, very powerful. So this is the process to get the higher taste. Otherwise, Krishna explains what happens to us. The text 62, Jayatu Vishaya Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bidayat. You start thinking, Jayatu Vishayan, thinking of the objects of sense gratification. Even innocently, if you start thinking of eating some kind of delicious food, pizza prasadam, who doesn't love pizza? Everyone loves pizza. So pizza prasadam, you start thinking, big, beautiful pizza with lots of cheese and veggies and offered to the Lord. I want to eat pizza. Jayato, you meditate on it. And vishaya, that which is pleasing to our senses. Sangasteshu pajayat, we become attached. I mean, let me get this pizza, let me make pizza, let me eat pizza. But what happens? The first piece, you think you've gone to heaven. You're doing abhishekam for your tongue. So delicious, and so delicious. I'll have another. And you eat another piece. And I'll have one more, maybe 4 pieces. Oh, no more, no. This is a competition between tongue and belly. Belly is like sadhu, satisfied. When it's full, no more. Tongue, always demanding, never satisfied. So this is the nature of every material experience. This is the nature of sense gratification. That it has its beginning and it has its end. Yehi sanasparsa jaboga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta konteya nateshu ramate Buddha. An intelligent person doesn't take pleasure in that kind of happiness because you know it has its beginning and its end. And every single material sensual experience, no matter what it is, every sensual experience has its beginning and its end. You're thinking of the pizza, let me eat pizza. You eat pizza, it's gone. What's left? Taste lingering in your mouth. Oh, I ate pizza. All that's left is a memory. Every material experience is like this. So Ramante, someone who's actually a thoughtful person. Ramante yogi no anante satyananda chidatmani iti rama vadano su param brahma vijayate. Thoughtful person takes pleasure in Rama, in Krishna, in the Lord, because that's an ever-ending ocean of material happiness. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. Pratipanam purnam ritas swadanam. This is spiritual happiness. Material happiness can never satisfy us because it has its beginning and its end. Then Krishna gives some other good advice about how to overcome the demands of mind and senses. He says, Sapuryamanamachala pratishtam samudramapa pravisanti tadvat. Tadvat pravisanti sarva the shantim apnoti the kama kami. He says, just gives a very nice example. It just says, rivers are entering into the ocean. The ocean remains always full and static. Doesn't go beyond its limit. And think about it. Nile River is pouring water. Ganga, Mississippi, Jordan River, huge rivers, Thames. Millions and millions of liters of water are coming to the oceans. Still doesn't overflow its bank. So Krishna gives this example that one should be satisfied even though desires are coming, but one doesn't act on those desires. He acknowledges, oh, desire is there. Okay, so what? I don't have to act on that. I'm not the servant of my mind and senses. I am the master of my mind and senses. Goswami. This person becomes happy, not the person who tries to satisfy such desires. So the second chapter ends with this verse. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, means that action in this world cannot bring us freedom. Just acting in this world can't bring us freedom, but bhakti can bring us freedom. The chapter starts out, Nahi kasyat shanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate yavasha karma sarva prakritir jayaguna. That we can't stop doing something even for a moment. This is the fallacy of the Mayavad, one of the many fallacies of Mayavad philosophy, that you become Narayan just by not doing something. Anashritya karma phalam karyam karma karoti rasa sannyasi cha yogi cha nani ragnir na chakriya. Nani ragnir means don't light fire, na chakriya, don't do anything. They think now I've become Narayan. This isn't renunciation. You can't stop doing something even for a moment. Our body is moving, our mind is moving, blood is moving through our veins, nerves are working, the world is spinning through the universe, everything is in motion. How can we say we're not acting? You can't stop acting. So what is the art of life? To learn to act for Krishna. And we discussed this verse briefly. What does that mean, to act for Krishna? To perform yajna for Krishna. Yagyartat karmanon yatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. We become liberated by working for the satisfaction of Krishna. Tadartam, working for his satisfaction. Shubha Shubha, 9th chapter says same thing. Shubha Shubha padareva moksha se karma bandhana sannyasa yoga yukta atma vimukta mam upaisasi. After Krishna describes that you offer me flower, fruit, leaf, and water, then he says, whatever you do, you offer for me. Tadartam karma konte. Whatever you do, you offer for me. Then he says this for Shubha Shubha Palariva Moksha Se Karma Bandhana. That in this way, whatever you do is free from Shubh and Ashubh, auspicious and inauspicious work. Because good karma is also bad karma, because it forces us to come back to this material world to enjoy the fruit of our action. If you open hospitals, plant trees, dig wells, feed people, distribute medicine, distribute clothing, blankets, this is all good. But it will force you to come back to this material world if Krishna is not the enjoyer, tadartam. And this is the difference between mundane social work, mundane social work, and Krishna consciousness. That Krishna is the enjoyer. This is done on Krishna's behalf as a representative of the Lord. So tadartam karma, we have to please Krishna, and we become free, shubh and ashubh. Moksha se karma bandhanai, we become free from the bondage of work, either good or bad, and we come back to Krishna. Moksha se karma. We become free from work, for the reaction of work, and we're liberated and come back to Him. What more we want in life? What more is there in life than to leave this world and go back to Godhead? So this is a very important thing to understand. And then Krishna says something very, very important. Jagasishta shana shanto muchase sarva. Jagasishta shana shanto muchante sarva kilbishai. That one should eat food that is jagasishta, food that is offered for sacrifice, prasadam. Otherwise, one is eating sin. And this is a very important thing to understand, because if we eat food that is not offered to Krishna, if we eat bhoga, we're not only eating sin, but we're eating the karma of the person who prepared the food. There's a story in the life of Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. One of his associates very proudly told him, when he was asked, well, how are you maintaining yourself? Where are you eating? He says, I'm eating food prepared by Brahmins and devotees. Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was omniscient, completely in touch with Super Soul. He thought for a moment and said, no, you're eating food prepared by meat eaters and non-devotee cheaters who have the dress of renunciate, but are actually completely materialistic people. And if you eat their food, you will go to hell. Because the food we eat that's prepared by non-devotees, especially food grains, carry their karma. You're eating their karma. You're eating their sins. And if you eat that food, your mind will become disturbed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the same thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada said the same thing. He said, don't eat on airplanes. If you have to take food on an airplane, bring prasadam with you. Or order a fruit plate. Eat some fruits. Eat some milk. But don't eat food grains prepared by non-devotees, because it is guaranteed it will disturb your mind, and their desires will manifest in your mind. The lust, the greed, the anger, the avarice, the insatiable desire for sense gratification in the heart of a non-devotee will manifest in your heart by eating their food. It's simply a fact. It's one of the subtle laws of material nature. So we should be very careful not to eat food prepared by non-devotees. And as far as food is concerned, Krishna gives very good instruction in Bhagavad Gita. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjanat anasambhava. Where does food come from? It comes from sacrifice. Food grains come from rain. Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked by the Yaksha in Mahabharata, Vanaparva, said, what is the best food? So Yaksha means he's Yamaraj, actually, in disguise of Yaksha. So he asked his son, Yudhishthira, what is the best food? Yudhishthira said, the only food is cow. And people thought, what? We don't eat cows. They said, no, listen. He said, because from the cow, we get milk. And from milk, we prepare butter. And from butter, we prepare ghee. And with ghee, we perform sacrifice, yajna, swaha, swaha, and we prepare delicious foodstuffs, fried in ghee, cooked in ghee for the pleasure of the Lord. This is yajna, and yajna bhavati sambhava. Anad bhavanti bhutani parjana anasambhava. That food grains come from yajna. When yajna is performed, then there's sufficient rainfall and food grows. If there's no rain, there's no food. We're dependent on yajna. We're dependent on the rain. And without rain, without Brahminical culture, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. The whole Brahminical culture is based on this principle. Spiritual culture, the welfare of human society is based on this principle of cow protection and Brahminical culture. And there's no Brahminical culture without cow protection, Go Raksha. To prepare foodstuffs and offer to the Lord, to serve Brahmins and Vaishnavas, and to offer sacrifice in the sacrificial fire with ghee. You can't use oil. It has to be ghee. No other substance is suitable. No other substance will produce the desired result. So Mother Cow, Go Mata, is so essential for the welfare of human society to produce foodstuff, because all living beings subsist on food grains. And food grains come from Parjanya, from rain clouds. So someone has to show an example. Krishna says, Yadyadacharati shestas tatareva tarojana saya pramanam kurate lokastad anuvartade. Whatever activities a great man performs, common men will follow. So this is our principle of preaching Krishna consciousness. To show an example, Prabhupada wanted farm communities. He wanted varnashram. He said, only 50% of my work is done. He said some very heavy things about varnashram. Without varnashram, it's simply animal society that no one can even understand the basics of Krishna consciousness. Dehino smanyata dehi, without varnashram. This is essential principle. And someone has to show the example. So he wanted farm communities to show the world example of happy living. And otherwise, we're just talking. We have a beautiful philosophy. But where is the example of that? The example of that is in Grihastha community. We talk about peaceful living in harmony with God, serving the Lord, pleasing the Lord, happy family life. Where is the example? Not sannyas ashram. Who wants to be sannyas? Do the masses of people aspire for sannyas or renunciation? They want to live like a brahmachari or something. They're not interested. They want happy family life. So where is the example of happy family life? Our Grihastha ashram. In farm communities, raising children, growing organic food, getting water from a well, heating home with wood, plowing the fields, raising organic food, growing grain, weaving cloth, sustainable communities. It's a very high thing, but it's within our grasp. And Prabhupada wanted to show this example to society that we can live off the grid of materialistic life by worshiping the Lord, honoring Gomata, producing food from the earth. Sarva-kama dugama, he like this kurta. I'm wearing kurta. We say, what is it? It's cotton. No, it's dirt. Where does cotton come from? It comes from dirt. Food comes from dirt. Water comes from dirt. Oxygen also comes from dirt. The trees grow in the dirt. They absorb carbon dioxide that we exhale, and they produce oxygen that we breathe. Our breath actually comes from the dirt. Water comes from the dirt. Food comes from the dirt. Sarva-kama dugamahi. All man's necessities come from the earth. We have to show example, happy life, connected with the creation and the creator. We should be able to show this example because this was Prabhupada's vision. His idea, he never was able to leave London. He came to London, a most emaciated, distressed, unhealthy condition. But his plan was to go to Gita Nagari to show people how to live on the land and practice varnashram. Happy society, cooperative society with all different classes of people, living on the land and producing food, because food is artha. These computers are like we're using this computer, this technology in Krishna service, very good. But if I'm hungry, can I eat this computer? Can I eat my mobile phone? Can I eat a piece of paper that says $100 on it? It's a piece of paper. It's not artha. What is artha? Water, food, shelter, warmth, association. These things are artha. If I'm dying of thirst, I'll take a $10 million diamond and trade it for one bottle of water because I don't need the diamond, but I need to drink water to live. This is artha. And we have to be able to show this example to society. We have to be able to teach. Then Krishna goes on, giving some practical advice. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. That we're not the doers, this everything is actually being done by the Lord. When we acknowledge that, when we cooperate with Him, we can have happy life. We're running out of time also. So I'll skim these other things. He gave example how to conquer lust. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajaguna samubhava. Arjuna asked, what is it that forces me to act against my will? Lust. So how to become free from lust? The all-devouring sinful enemy in the world, only by Krishna Bhakti. and understanding. He gives a formula. Jnana indriyani paranyahur indriyabhya paramana manasustu param bodhe yobudhe paratastu sa. Evam bodhe param bodhva samstadyatmanam atmana jahi shatram mahabaho kama rupa durasadam. How to conquer kama rupa, this formidable enemy of lust? Understand what is happening. Indriyani paranya, above our body senses that we can quantify. We can put our body on a scale, we can weigh it, we can photograph it, we can measure its dimension and its weight and its mass. Above the gross body, the subtle body, senses. Sight, taste, smell, touch, and hearing. We have those things, but can you quantify? Can you quantify above the senses is the mind? Can you put the mind on a scale? How much does the mind weigh? It's there, but more subtle than the mind, intelligence. More subtle than the intelligence is the soul proper. So, evam buddhe param buddha samstabhyatmanam atmana. If we understand this hierarchy, then kama rupa dharasadam. Understand that we're being dragged by our body, by our senses, by our mind that have nothing to do with the atma, the self. Then we can conquer lust. So chapter 3 ends with that verse. I'm sorry I went a little bit over time. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sarva-drk Prabhu. This is how Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read thorough in and out of Bhagavad Gita, every verse, and practice, apply it.
Many, very important verses. Each verse is a class in itself. Yes. But to give overview, to touch on those different important verses, I prepared class in them.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was wonderful. Yeah, as you mentioned, so Prabhupada has mentioned, I'm lamenting for one thing. Oh, Prabhupada, you are lamenting. Then is it because you didn't finish Srimad Bhagavatam? He said, no, I'm lamenting because I couldn't complete my 50% of job of Varnashrama system.
A very profound thing.
Yes.
This is our responsibility. He wanted Varnashram colleges in each temple community where we teach these things to society. Because Prabhupada's scope for Krishna consciousness was not just a few devotees living in an ashram or a temple community, but all kinds of people, even people addicted to alcohol, meat eating. We have a place for you. Come associate with us, hear Hari Katha, chant Kirtan, take prasad, and become better. What other hope is there for them? So they should come. We can accommodate all types of people. We're not going to put them on the altar. Say, okay, now worship Radha Krishna, worship Shalagram Giriraj. But let them come and associate and make progress in spiritual life. Prabhupada's vision was that. Because the masses of people are mlechas yavanas. They have no principles. But mlechas yavanas are controlling whole society. This is the problem. They're in charge of a whole social structure. And they're brainwashing people to think the goal of life is intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling. The things we're completely opposed to. We're actually revolutionaries. Devotees are revolutionaries. Tadvagvasargam viplavo. We're meant to create a revolution in the impious lives of a misdirected civilization. This is Bhagavatam. Devotees are revolution. They say, enjoy yourself, just do it. Do any damn thing that pleases your senses. We say, no, don't do it. We're 180 degrees different. So we should understand that, but be able to accommodate by thoughtful consideration, by intelligently presenting Krishna consciousness, draw people in. Come sing and dance and eat delicious food. Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness will spread by cultural presentation, by drama, by dance, by art, by food, by music, by engaging people's senses in Krishna. Most people have no brain for philosophy. They're hopeless. But come eat delicious food, dance, sing, see a play, see beautiful art, drama. And in this way, we can engage the whole world. Cultural presentation. So that's our job. Especially that's your job. You're still young men, Krishna. Krishna Namananda, such a beautiful name. Krishna Namananda Prabhu. You're still young men. In your lifetime, we have to see these things happen, all of you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, anyone has any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My name is Sudhakar. So you mentioned various wars happening. The hottest one, Ukraine-Russia war. Our country, America, has significantly and indirectly contributed to the war. And if any effort is made by the Russia or Ukraine to solve the problem, we go and tell them, don't solve the problem, keep fighting. And we are subsidizing, a lot of money we are sending to the war, and we're at the threshold of nuclear conflict. Now I understand. I just felt like sharing that. America is the problem in the war.
America is a big problem in the world, but my problem with the whole situation is what to believe, because the media manipulates the understanding and consciousness of the whole world. I watched one program, it showed 50 different newscasts from around the world, and each news person was saying exactly the same thing. They're feeding the news to a broad range of news outlets to present the same news. God knows what's going on. News makes us think, who's the good guy and who's the bad guy? They're all bad guys. They're fighting over stolen bread. And is America the good guy? I don't think so. America, for example, America invaded invaded Iraq. Do we have a right to go into Iraq and drop bombs? Why were we there? To help them? Not at all. Our interest was oil. All politics, all dirty politics, and thousands of people died for dirty politics to serve the interests of a misguided leadership. Now that's a controversial thing to say, but I stick by my words. But how do we know what is actually happening? America had the impression President Bush got on the media and said, there are weapons of mass destruction and we have to go there and help these people. There were no weapons of mass destruction. This is mass distraction caused by media to brainwash people to think we're the good guys and we have the right to invade their country. We do not. Since when does America have the right to invade anybody? Are we the gatekeepers of the world? Because we can, because we have more power, and that's being questioned also. America is headed for a very difficult, of course, now I'm quoting the news media that I'm criticizing. News media tells us that America is headed for a very difficult time because India and Russia and 70 other countries are leaving the dollar as the monetary unit of exchange. They're tired of America just printing dollars. We need some more money. Okay, print some more money, guys. And they go and they print sheets and sheets and hundreds of millions of dollars of green paper. And they exchange the green paper on the world market for products. The world's tired of that. So America, if we are to believe what we read from many different sources, actually, traditional media and independent media is pretty much saying the same thing. The world is headed for a hard time, economic loss, economic challenges of food production. Because you can't eat dollars. It's a piece of paper that we agree, this piece of paper I can exchange for X amount of goods. It has no intrinsic value. It's just a piece of paper. So people are neglecting what is actually valuable in life: food, water, shelter, security, association, warmth. Winter is coming. Can a dollar keep you warm? Can you wrap yourself in a coat made of dollars? You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah. No, I get it. And by the way, I protested the Iraq war in 2003, in America. But,
okay, good.
So coming back to the earlier thing, see, this whole Ukraine war, happened because, when the USSR was dissolved, Gorbachev was promised by President Bush Sr. that we will not go past, the Warsaw Pact on the eastern side of the Germany and all those things. And now we took NATO all the way to the borders of Ukraine. And now, what Russia is asking is, hey, we don't want you guys to be part of NATO, and we're just asking for demilitarization, which I think is a very reasonable goal. And ultimately, we had this biggest operation by Germany and NATO, Operation Brass Tacks and all those things. So my point is, Russia is feeling threatened, and they said, hey, we want to demilitarize Ukraine, and that's why they started, which I think is a very reasonable goal. And America has no business being in Ukraine, actually.
Yeah, I agree. We don't have any business being anywhere. We've got enough problems right there in America. America has enough problems. There's rampant. President Trump called drug addiction in America a national emergency. Drug addiction, alcoholism. America is in rough shape, but we want to go out and take care of everybody else. Why not? If they took that same money that they gave to another country and invested it in America's own infrastructure to build safe houses for single women, abused women, free medical, the whole health industry is out completely weird. I'll give you a small example. I get this problem. I wasn't fortunate to be born with an Indian body. So the sun has a negative effect on my skin. It creates skin cancer called basal cell carcinoma. There's a medicine for that. You put the cream on and it destroys the cancer. So one tube of that medicine in America costs $2,000 for 10 grams. One 10-gram tube, if you want to buy one without health insurance, costs $2,000. I can buy the same thing here in India for 200 rupees. It's the same product. What is wrong with the healthcare system in America? People are simply being exploited. But we have money, we have billions of dollars to spend on fighting Russia through Ukraine. America's fighting Russia through Ukraine. And it's a very dangerous thing. The whole world can be engulfed in war. It's like a huge stack of cotton fibers, and the slightest spark will ignite the whole thing. And the whole world can be drawn into war. South Korea and North Korea are ready to kill each other. Iraq and Saudi Arabia, or Iran and Saudi Arabia, Russia and Ukraine, America and China. Like, why? This is bad leadership. Here in Mayapur, we have Harinam Sankirtan 7 days a week, 5 o'clock in the evening, 4:30 to 6:30, 2 hours. And the Russian devotees and the Ukrainian devotees are singing and dancing and laughing with each other. And in Ukraine, they're killing each other. The Indian devotees and the Chinese devotees are singing in kirtan and laughing and dancing and singing. But on the border, there's troops who are amassed ready to kill each other. Italian devotees, American devotees, Indian, Australian, Italian, Indonesian, all coming together to chant holy name of the Lord. Harinam Sankirtan can change the world. But bad leadership is drawing all these innocent people. The masses of people don't have this hatred for other people, because Ukrainians and Russians, they're brothers actually. Many of them speak the same language, but they're killing each other because they've been brainwashed to think these are our enemies. Who is an enemy? Ignorance is our enemy. Vidya Baniya Sampane Brahmane Kavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Sopakeja Pandita Samadarshina. A learned person sees the whole world equally. He sees the whole world as his friend. Brahma Bhuta Prasana Manasochadina Samasaveshu Bhuteshu. He sees the whole world equally. Everyone is his friend. The only lack in society is Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious leadership. And this is why we see wars happening, because of bad leaders, self-interested leaders, demoniac leaders. And they're puppets of greater, just like World War II. The Rothschild family was selling copper to the Germans to make ammunition to kill the Americans and the Europeans and the Englishmen. And they were selling copper to the Americans to kill the Germans. Demoniac industrialists have taken over the world and exploiting people for their own interest. If you Follow it back far enough. This is what you'll find. Two families, Vanguard and BlackRock. Every single corporation, agriculture, electronics, automobile, food, all of these different industries are controlled and owned by two corporations all over the world. They're manipulating the whole thing. Do some research. So what we hear in the news, who is a good guy? Is it America? Is it Russia? Is it Ukraine? Who? God knows. But as we sit here comfortably in our home, people are dying. They're being raped, they're being murdered, they're being burned, they're being bombed because of ignorance, because of the lack of what we know. That that we're souls, that we're actually brothers. If we accept there's a common father, then how? Why are we killing each other? We're brothers. The whole world are brothers. Krishna is a common father. And there are two other questions. Amritanand Prabhu has been waiting very.
Go ahead, Amritanand Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Prabhu. As always, very enlightening. My question is related to being a fanatic and being practical. So Prabhupada wanted us to, implement the Varnashram system. Now, at least middle-aged persons like me, 50 plus, we should be in the retired life, but we're still working. We're still running around for mortgage, this, that, rent, whatever. Also, acharyas like Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj has said that 50% should be towards Krishna conscious activity, the earnings what a grasti makes. But I don't do it, and I'm pretty certain not many also do it. Of course, we do a little portion of our income. So where do you draw the line, Prabhu, that according to time, place, circumstance, you stretch these or you bend it, or what's the correct?
Okay, this is an important question, Prabhu. Thank you for asking. We should understand this carefully. 50% doesn't mean 50% of your gross income. 50% of your discretionary income. After you've saved money for your daughter's wedding or your son's education or your children's education, pay your mortgage, pay your family bills, whatever expenses, life and savings also. Discretionary income. You should, and other thing is that if someone who is barely scraping by, if he gives $20 to the temple, that's more significant from the point of view of the Lord, who sees every thought, every heartbeat, every breath, than a person who has millions and gives 1,008. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the quality of our offering. Krishna says, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. You worship me with devotion. Patram pushpam phalam tam yome bhaktya purachiti. Worship me with love, worship me with devotion. Our offering, it shouldn't be official because we're supposed to, because there's social pressure. It should be offered from our heart, but from your discretionary income. If you give 50% of your gross income, how will you pay your bills? How will you save money? How will you educate your children? These things should be understood.
So,
does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Partially, yes. Prabhu, if I can follow up with another question on this, is we all are conditioned, Prabhu. And yes, I do understand it's the intent and the quality of offering, but it's almost like a compulsion, and left as is. I won't do like my japa. To do japa is, it's have to do japa, and it's not I want to do japa. So similarly, even if it's on a discretionary income that we're doing, how do we address this particular thing? What Bhakti Acharya wanted and what Srila Prabhupada wanted of Varnashram?
Okay, these are all important questions. Krishna says in 8th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, Chaitasa Nanyagamina. Not Anyagamina means not allowing your mind to go to any other thing but Krishna. Can you just snap your fingers and say, from tomorrow, I'll be a pure devotee? Isn't that possible? So what is the solution? Abhyas. That we practice Krishna consciousness. That people come to Krishna Bhakti from many different karmic backgrounds. Someone comes, and in a few years, they're sannyasis with disciples preaching all over the world, very fixed up, renounced. Someone else struggles in their life for years. We come with different karmic backgrounds, karmic baggage, karmic liability, karmic asset. But the principle of practice is universal, applicable to both situations. That we practice Krishna consciousness to be better devotees. We're just trying to please Krishna. And we can link that to our discussion this month, Damodar Vrata. Mother Yashoda was laboring hard. Her hair is coming undone. The flowers are falling from her hair. She's sweating. She's breathing heavily, trying to tie up Krishna. Hundreds of feet of rope, and she can't tie Krishna. But she's struggling. She's trying. And when Krishna sees how much she's trying, okay, you can grind me, bind me. So that two things have to be the kripa and prayas. One has to work hard, struggle in our life to be the best devotee we can be, whatever that means to us as an individual. And we're ultimately dependent on Lord's mercy. We're trying to attract His mercy in our life and our sadhana. And that comes by struggle. No one said Krishna Bhakti was easy. It's the most difficult thing, actually. Jnana is for persons who have been birth after birth trying to come to Bhakti. Bahunam janmanamante, jnanamama prabhajite. When we come to Bhakti, what is left for us? Only the highest thing. What is that highest thing? Krishna Prema. So Krishna Prema is our objective, and that's not easily achieved. So we have to struggle, prayas, but we're dependent on kripa. We're beggars. We're begging mercy from the Lord. And the mercy, the fulfillment of that mercy, the fruit of that mercy is we develop ruchi, we develop rati, we develop feeling, we develop love of God, we develop enthusiasm, spontaneous enthusiasm, raga for Krishna. That is the fruit of our struggle, but it doesn't come easily. We have to acknowledge that. Don't think, I've been chanting for 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. Where are the tears? Where are the hairs standing on end? Where is the voice choked up? Not so easy. But what else is there to do? What else is there to do? This is the highest objective of life, Krishna Prema. But it's the most difficult thing also. Is that helpful to you, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Nicely explained. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your nice question, Prabhu.
Jagadish Prabhu, go ahead quickly. Alert 9:23. One more question is there. Go ahead, Jagadish.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanna Prabhu. All goes to you, all goes to Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, all goes to all devotees.
Prabhu, I have a question. Like you mentioned that work is worship, which is ramped up and going on more and more. And we see that devotees and whoever working, they're looking more and more hours, more and more hours. So even we also trapped into that to maintain ourselves, like to maintain the family and all. If otherwise, they will kick out if we don't work accordingly, because we know. So how to manage that and how to handle that situations, which is going on like 16, 15 hours in office. They are asking more and more, more and more. So, and they say work is worship. So how to understand that?
They say this is a false idea. I was speaking against this idea. Work is not worship unless Krishna is a beneficiary. Then work becomes tangentially, it becomes worship because Krishna is a beneficiary. But the problem is in Western society, especially, and all over the world. I have a friend who in Bangalore. He works 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. It takes him 4 hours coming and going through travel. It's only 13 kilometers. But it takes him more than 2 hours one way and 2 hours back home. And he's there 6-7 days a week. But basically, he lives at work and he comes home to eat and sleep and spend a little time with his family. This isn't a way to live. This is no way to live. This is why we're making this proposal of varnashram communities. Instead of making money and taking the money and buying food, grow your food. I mean, it may seem simplistic, but I live that way. To a certain extent, in Prabhupada village, for 10 years, we grew most of our food. We got water from a well. We heated our home with wood that grew on the land. It was a very nice life. We weren't completely independent by any means, but I can see the potential. But we should work to live, not live to work. Because work in itself will never make you happy. Because why do people work? They work for the fruits of labor. But phalam tyaktva manishina, a thoughtful person renounces the fruits of his labor for the satisfaction of the Lord. So if you're stuck in a job where your boss, to keep your job, you have to work 60 hours. I ran my own business for several years. And if I was without an employee, then everything was on my head. I had to do everything. Sometimes it meant 60 hours a week. I understand what that is and how unhappy life that is. But try and extricate yourself from that and meditate on this. Don't work to live. Work to live. Don't live to work. Don't make work your objective in life. Make Krishna the objective, the highest objective, and get out of that circumstance as soon as you can. Pay off your mortgage or whatever it means to you to live outside of that type of lifestyle, because it's not a happy lifestyle and you'll never get Krishna bhakti from it. I hope that's helpful to you, Jagdish Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, nicely explained that, just live for, don't live for work, just do work for just
because they want to suck your blood. They're not your well-wisher.
What I'm trying to say, if we follow that pattern, okay, just work for just to maintain. But you know that the situation work is the way they want it to work. If you don't exist in the system, they will kick out, fire the job and this and that. So to lift up their expectations, then we also trapped into that. Otherwise, we will become jobless.
Okay, use a smile on their face, play the game, but look for another job. And if you find a better job, then say goodbye. Because the whole work scenario means what? They pay you just enough so you won't quit, and you do just enough work so they won't fire you. There's no love. There's no reciprocation. It's all business. So if it's business, then if you find a better job, goodbye. So look for another job. But don't, until that's secure, don't say goodbye to your present employer. But, I'm just making this, I'm not saying you should go do that tomorrow, but just something to think about.
I got it, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Govindaraj, Prabhu.
Yes, go ahead quickly. Govindarajan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Please accept my obeisances. Pranam. Yeah, Prabhuji, today's class was very nice. But my thing is, some of it is all very idealistic, right? I'm just thinking for my own personal life, right? Where the Grahastha ashram is supposed to be an ashram, but unfortunately, I have myself made it a place where it's very difficult, basically, right? The relationship between me and my wife, 99% is the fault is with me. And I also know of someone who has challenges with her own daughter, right? So where the Grahastha ashram, which is supposed to give you peace and some sense of love and affection, and a place where you can relax, so that itself is now becoming a place where it's you can't sustain it, right? Like or like it's you are under constant anxiety. So how do we apply the Bhagavad Gita to solve such difficult situations in our own personal life, right? Like I know like the bigger world is all going towards all wars and quarrel and everything, but how do we address this whole inner quarrel, like the inner things that we have ourselves created?
I can give you a short, we're out of time, so I'll give you a short answer. If you want to discuss, Krishnamananda Prabhu can give you my phone number, my WhatsApp number, and we can discuss in depth. But briefly, we're suffering the results of our past karma. So as we discussed, Krishna's solution to things we can't change the behavior of other people. We wish we could, but you can't change the behavior of other people. You can't change someone else's karma. So many times in intractable situations in our life, what is the solution? Tamsatiksha Sarva-drk. Learn to tolerate, because things change also. Mm-hmm. Things change by bhakti, by prayer, but while it's going on, sometimes you have to tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to discuss it, we can talk on the phone if you're interested to do that on WhatsApp or some other media.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for your nice question, Prabhu. Hope things are working out for you in due course of time.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you so much, Sarva-drk Prabhu.
Thank you all devotees. Vancha kalpatrubyascha katha sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo. Grantaraj Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Please join today evening for Sunday Feast program from 5:30 to 9. And tomorrow is the last day of Kartik and Damodar month. Fast breaking from Vruddhal can be done after the sunset sun moonrise, or Bhishma Panchak if you are doing, you have to break after that, or Tuesday morning after sunrise. So please join today, and also Monday also we have program. You can light up the lamps, you can sponsor if you like to, or bring groceries, whatever. Yes, this is the last opportunity today and tomorrow for the Kartik month to grab the mercy what is available. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada Jaya.